Dad, can you roll your tongue?
No, I've never been able to, see? I mean, I just can't do it.
Well, Mom, can you roll your tongue?
Of course I can.
Well, that's weird because I can roll my tongue too. But Dad can't and you can. Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's probably genetics, I guess.
What about genetics?
You know, I'm just a neurosurgeon, so it's beyond my expertise, but I know somebody that we could call to find out.
Who?
His name is Kian Sadecki. He's the founder and CEO of Nucleus Genomics.
Let's FaceTime him.
Let's do it.
Hi,
Hi,
Kian.
Hi, Kian. Hey, we had a quick question about genetics we thought you could help us with.
Yeah, so my mom can roll her tongue, I can roll my tongue, but my dad can't roll his tongue. Why is that?
Tongue rolling is an amazing example of how our genes impact our everyday life. That's because it turns out tongue rolling is actually genetic. And so different people, depending on their DNA, can or cannot roll their tongue. So Kevin inherited genes that enabled him to roll his tongue, while Dr. Hefflinger had genes that made him so he couldn't roll his tongue. But the genetics of tongue rolling is actually one of the biggest myths. The reason for this is scientists thought for more than a decade that it was driven by a single gene. It turns out though, tongue rolling is driven by many genes or many important regions in your DNA. Tongue rolling is a cool example because it's one of many traits that we inherit from our mom and dad. And it can also show how complicated it can be to determine what runs in our families. And on that point, genetics doesn't just impact our traits like tongue rolling, but also impacts our health.
So the same idea that applies to why my dad can't roll his tongue also applies to health?
Yes, exactly, Kevin. It's not always so easy to trace health concerns from one person in a family to another. That's because we all inherit different DNA from our mom and dad. It's sometimes even possible to have a bad gene for a condition that doesn't impact our own health, but could really impact our children. That's why something called carrier screening is so important for having families. It turns out there are risks in our DNA that don't impact our own health, but could impact our children.
Oh, so you can actually learn if you're a carrier for a disease before you have kids?
Exactly. And that's why genetic testing is so important. It helps make informed decisions, not just about your own health, but that of your future family.
Thanks, Kian, for explaining this to us.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.